So here I am in After Effects, and I've been working on some album covers or maybe single covers for my music project. I've got a couple of different versions here of this screaming, overwhelmed face, and the reason why I want to make a breakdown of it is because A, I'm just proud of it and I think I used some cool techniques to get it, but also because I did use AI partially, and I know that AI is kind of a hot topic right now in terms of, should you be using it to create art, should you not? And I definitely did not want to just have an AI spit out an image and use that as my album cover. If I were to use it, I wanted to use it with a lot of original pieces and use it in a way that really enhances it as a tool, the same way that we use optical flares or action essentials, anything like that as a tool in After Effects. So I want to break this down here and show off what I did. To start with, we have here my face, a screaming face. So this is me, masked out. I just took a picture on my phone, screaming. I comped it, and then I have another layer here that is creating this effect. So I have an effect here called displacement map. I have the displacement map layer on that image of my face there. I have it set to luminance. I increased the displacement until I was happy. Here I chose 250. And the way this is working is this layer here, if you were to open it up, this layer is pretty much just noise that I created in After Effects. So if I scroll through this, you can see it's basically just a bunch of green, blue, pink fractal noises. It just looks like noise, and that's exactly what I wanted. The album is probably going to be called All This Noise. And so it's that layer that is then being warped into the shape of my face, if you will, via displacement map. And the reason why I made it move is so that I could scroll through it, and you can have this great randomness where you can kind of pick the spot where the colors land in your favorite way. You can see that as you scroll throughout, for example, this frame, it's kind of hard to make out the contour of the face because all of it is just kind of blue. Whereas this frame looks really cool. It almost looks like kind of the white there is a forehead shine or something. So that's why I made the map move. I think it gives you great options. So you can see I drug this layer around until I found the frame I wanted and put it first just for simplicity. So I've got that there. Now the next thing I have that is a piece of AI art that is enhancing this is this layer here. And you can see the prompt I used in Dall E to generate this image. It's baked into the name. The prompt I used was 3D rendering of a screaming face made out of glitchy abstract shapes against a black background. So that gave me a lot of different images. And the one I liked was this one. You can see it looks really scary, really glitchy. You can clearly make out that it's a face though, which is awesome. And it's got some great elements here. I love the shapes coming out of it. You could probably do this via just, pulling on the layer in After Effects manually. But honestly, I would have a really hard time making something that looks this intricate just in After Effects, with my knowledge of it at least. But by creating it here in AI with just a prompt and making it against a black background, I can basically use it like any stock Action Essentials element. I have it layered on top with a screen mode. When you're in screen mode, it basically makes the darkest parts transparent. So I can turn that off. You can see it's really just a face. It starts to feel, like what it is, masked and just a face with like some kind of alpha matte on it. But when you turn that on, it really makes it feel much more alive and like sort of like you can feel the intensity of the scream a bit more. It feels noisier, glitchier, and I really like it. Now that I've pointed it out, you can probably see just how separate the layers are. They don't even really match in terms of color perfectly, but I think the overlay looks quite good. At least I hope it does. And when you add on these other layers, so this is just a noise layer, add on that noise layer to kind of blend everything. And then this is a flare layer, an optical flares layer. So if I solo that, you can see that I just have created a very dirty optical flare. If you don't know how to do that, you can go into the optical flare options. You can add whatever elements you want. So I only added 3 elements, an iris, a stretch, another iris. Then you go into the global parameters here, and you can change the aberration type to have a red-blue shift. You can increase that, decrease it to your liking. I keep it pretty high for this look I'm going for. And you can add a lens texture. So without a lens texture, you just have the flare. But when you have it, I think I had dodgy on, you've got a very nice dirty lens. And that's a great way to sort of cover things up. The saying, the best visual effects are at night when it's too dark to actually see what's going on. Kind of the same principle here. I use that flare to kind of blend and add a element of chaos. And then you get the flare itself here, which I like just sitting above the face. These, by the way, are a few other faces Dall E generated with that screaming face prompt. Definitely not as good. I certainly did not like this one. This is probably the scariest one I didn't like that you could see the eyes. I just wanted something with a bit of an outline that I could overlay on my face. This one I kind of liked, but it's a little too rigid and robotic looking for me. And then this one, yeah, didn't work at all. Also very scary. It's also kind of boring geometrically, whereas the one I used had some shapes that, like I said, I probably couldn't have made myself. And so another idea I was playing around with was part of the theme of the album is being sort of overwhelmed by noise and digital life, feeling like there's always kind of an advertisement in your face. That's the subject matter of the song I just put out called My Attention Span. I'll link it in the description. But another element I created here was with Dall E, and the prompt for that was a gritty and noisy 3D rendering depicting an overwhelming amount of advertisements and notifications with glitch elements. So quite a long prompt, but I really liked the way it turned out. It sped out a lot of things, and this was the one that worked for me. I did have a radial blur on it, so without the radial blur, it looks like this. With the radial blur, it looks kind of more like, a framing device, and it helps to frame the face with that blur on it. And then I also added some more stock, so here's like a Adobe stock layer that is just kind of digital noise. If you take a look at that, it's just kind of red, green, blue type stuff. Added that because I thought it fit with what Dall E had spit out. And then of course we have the noise there. And this time I added another layer of distortion. This is a chromatic aberration layer and glow layer. And actually, while we're at it, to make it simpler to see what that does, I'll just throw it into this composition. So if I turn this on and off in this composition, you can see it distorts things in a very unique way, adds a nice chromatic aberration, and helps to blend those two layers together even more. I'll probably put it below the noise and flare there. And yeah, I quite like that. Maybe I'll keep it like that. And then of course a glow is just a glow. It's not doing too much, to be honest, in this comp. I've turned the glow intensity way down because I think it was too bright, but we could pull that up, play around with the threshold if we'd like, and that would help blend that AI face layer with the real face layer even more. And hopefully you think this or this looks cool. This might be a bit too noisy for my taste. I'm still playing around with it. If you don't like the way it looks, then I don't know why you've kept watching this long. But I just wanted to share this because it's, in my opinion, a way to use Dall E and AI output in a way that's a bit more creative and, in my opinion, less controversial than just spitting out something that looks like someone else's style, throwing that on Spotify or whatever as your album art. It's definitely possible to get some cool elements out of it and use them as you would other stock elements that you would get from Adobe Stock or what have you, or even Video Copilot's assets like Action Essentials or optical flares. So that's what I've been up to with using AI in After Effects. I've got a lot of different works here. So that's what I've been up to with leveraging After Effects AI. I've got a lot of different examples here. Just to quickly show off another project, I wanted something that evoked the colors of the character Rei Ayanami from Neon Genesis. I put in a prompt that said an abstract watercolor painting using those colors. I scaled it up. It's of course way too low resolution for 3000 by 3000, but that doesn't matter because I threw a turbulent displace on it, which gets this. You can still see it's low resolution. I sharpened it, and then I added a Gaussian blur on it because that's all I really wanted was that sort of blur look. And then I'm adding another flare texture in, one of my favorite tricks in the book, as you can see, that flare texture. And then some noise, just some colored noise here with the add grain built-in function. And that gave me this sort of more abstract piece. Again, I can't deny that AI output's doing some heavy lifting here, but it feels a little bit better to me than just straight up putting the AI art as the cover art. So that's how I've been leveraging AI art as an After Effects user and enthusiast, trying to create some cool new album art for my music project Wave Station. And let me know in the comments how you're using AI art, your views on it, and if you like what I've created here today. And thanks for watching.
Tell me something I don't need, make me feel so incomplete, mess up my attention span. I just wanna feel again.